So we're beginning the update with what's really a kind of different project. You can kind of see here, this is Magic the Gathering. These are actually pretty neat card protectors, but I'm not planning to use those. We have here from Crossroad Games, I've blocked out their address and my address. We have what should be the first of hopefully 18 or 19, I don't know. It's a lot of packages. Basically what happened was I have played Magic the Gathering. I think I've talked to y'all about that before, but I have a deck that's definitely my favorite. And that deck was old, out of date. There's nothing wrong with that. It's mostly just that I wanted I wanted to put together a kind of nostalgic version of it that had cards, and so this first package should be 7 swamps, according to Amazon tracking. This one's simple because, you know, I ordered 59 cards in order to finish. I guess to give a hint before I open those, I mentioned I got these 5 cards for Christmas. You know, Griezelbrand, of course, being a notable one. That's good, that's good. I mean, all 5 of these are great. They're much better than the versions of those creatures that were in my old deck. It's a simple regenerator deck that just discards the cards and brings them back to life. Graveyard abuse. So the idea is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so this was in there to keep them solid. 1, 2, 5, 6, 7. Alright. And just to verify, they should all be foil because, yes. You might have noticed that these are foil as well, which means for Griezelbrand, that's going to probably be the most expensive card in the deck. So, like I was saying, it's just a regenerator deck. 10 creatures are big, 10 cards discard, 10 cards bring to life, and 10 cards accelerate mana, and then just 20 lands. So what I'm doing is I'm pretty much constructing a completely new version. Most of the cards in that deck that could be foiled have been foiled, so that's why these are all foil swamps. And this is also here right now because it's related, kind of. I say kind of because as I open it, you're going to see that this is actually a Bakemonogatari card protectors, which I think are exactly what I want. Cling to nose and mouth and prevent breathing. Good to know that. The issue is that this isn't the one I really wanted, but I ordered 2 just in case the other one I ordered doesn't turn out to be what it was. Now, it was supposed to be delivered today, but for the same reason I'm doing my update today, we just can't. It just didn't arrive. There's bad weather. 2 non-anime DVDs. The camera can recognize both Wolverine's and Dorothy's faces, but they were cheap. They were there. I decided, okay, sure, why not? And then comes this week's main package. This one actually arrived yesterday despite the weather, but it's just Diabolik lovers. So I didn't consider that one to be notable to do the update on its own with. Now, granted, the day before Kill Volume 4 and Koimonogatari did arrive, but I didn't want to do the update with just those 3 when this box has over half. It would have still been a pretty good update, but I was just looking way too forward to this box. Now, you notice it's big. It's not really big because of contents, other than this. It's a 6-deck automatic card shuffler. Because you may recall that I've shown I got Apples to Apple, no, not Apples to Apples, but Cards Against Humanity, and I got Tentacle Bento, and stuff like that, where it'd be nice to just see if an automatic card shuffler makes some of that easier. And because I was doing that, I decided to get Death Note and Hetalia playing cards. I mean, I didn't decide specifically on these anime. I just went there and I looked at anime and said, you know, Death Note does about what I want, but I might as well get both. Or two. You know, like, Hetalia will probably have a little bit of a different appeal. Let's see. This one's a notable one, because this is a non-anime. This is Watership Down, Blu-ray Special Edition. See, I was kind of surprised because this isn't the normal Blu-ray case. Oh look, Region A. But now I'm kind of curious. I've never seen this before, and this will be my foray into it. I've also never read the book. I'm aware that there's a book. And so this is kind of important because other than Akira on Laserdisc, this is my first purchase of a Criterion collection. The Criterion collection, see? Now, that doesn't mean I don't have other Criterion collections. I think I might have one or two other things, but no, wait, maybe that movie was. Interesting. It says Blu-ray edition, so I'm assuming it's Blu-ray like it says it is. And of course you saw that there's actually some notable things over here. That one will save. Why don't we put these in a bit of an order, like this. We'll begin with Diabolik Lovers. I grabbed the DVD and compare how this release looks like that, but honestly, that one's already in a box in my bedroom, I think. Because the two releases are just so far apart that it was just inevitable. It had to happen eventually. But it does mean that we get a chance to take a peek at it, because it is just the one DVD, or rather the one disc, since this is Blu-ray. Let me check on the back. You can see it's English dubbed, Region A. Pretty straightforward stuff. Next we've got Blu-ray and DVD combo pack of Tiger and Bunny, The Rising, which is unlike the first movie, which was I think a recap of kind of the start of stuff. Did I watch the first movie? I don't remember anymore. Gosh darn it. This one I think it's supposed to be completely new content that happens after the series. Well, this is Viz, so I see Region A there, and of course they probably dubbed it. I'm not seeing English and Japanese audio right there. Okay. So if we take a peek on the inside, we've got Blu-ray copy and the upside down DVD copy. There. And of course, we've got imagery. I'm definitely curious about this. Next up we've got Space Brothers. This is collection 1. Yeah, it says 1 there. And I knew this was collection 1 because I saw collection 2 and I finally pre-ordered all of Next Month's anime last night. Which was a pretty big task because I was doing it so late that I really had to check, especially for Eastern Star stuff that kind of showed up late, because sometimes Eastern Star will list stuff that they released later in the month that same month, so I missed pre-ordering it that previous month. I had to look through all their stuff on Right Stuff just to make sure there wasn't anything. And man, this stuff is... Okay, let's see. This one's Japanese with English subtitles only. And these are actually some rather simple discs. Sometimes simple works. Yeah. I was looking at the 2. At 2. And then we got the Blu-ray version, which is the same. I can't really comment too much about it because I'm not very familiar with the series. But I've got maybe half of it now. I don't know. Next up, we've got a Koimonogatari, and I was actually quite surprised watching this and reading the stuff because I thought I maybe had 2 more releases before I was finished with Monogatari second season, but nope. Turns out this is the end, and what had set my count off was I forgot some summary episodes. So I'm going to go and see if those are on the discs, and then maybe just watch them just for the sake of having watched them, so I can mark them as watched on my anime list. So, this is a booklet that came with it. Not too much to comment on there. Of course, we've got postcards. Not sure what to make of these postcards exactly. But it's always nice artwork to have, you know? Do you know what I mean? Don't remember if I'm even putting these back in the direction they were taken out. Oh well. What's really important is that if I'm going to keep it together with the DVD, or rather the discs, then I do that. And of course the Aniplex, proof of purchase, and other card. There we go. Getting them all back in. Next up, Kill la Kill. And this is another one where I was thinking it would maybe be a 6 DVD release, but after taking a peek and questions, I think this will actually only be a 5-volume release, which the next one talks about being the final release. So, first of all, this one contains the Blu-ray and the DVD. Oh, and for those of you who don't know, the Monogatari stuff is subtitle only, but Kill la Kill has a dub. Honestly, it feels fine to me at this point. I think I mentioned before, being kind of concerned. Yeah, like this. But, that kind of faded quickly. Sometimes I think voice actors just eventually do a really good job of figuring out you know, their roles and stuff. Sometimes it's not as immediate as it could be. So next up, I guess we've got postcards, and it feels like there's not as many in here as there were in the other. And if I were to take a guess, these are probably going to be the same imagery we've already seen on the box, because that tends to be the way this works anyways. We find that some imagery was intentionally used on the box. And there we go. Just the 2 things. Not bad. Especially since I'm never going to mail these postcards to anybody ever. And this Sorry, legs are a bit sore from workout yesterday. This is the poster, which is of course double-sided. You get a choice. Yeah, I think that was up. Not that it matters. We've also got a Kill card of some sort. Let's sort it online and Kill advertisement. And the usual proof of purchase other card thing. Alright. That's actually a pretty notable couple of releases there. But this one's a bit heavy. I'm actually going to move these out of the way while I poke around this, because you may recall Chunibyo did get released last year, and what was released was just the subtitled, simple subtitled version. This one has a new English dub and has both DVD and Blu-ray versions, and it's so heavy that I'm pretty sure it has more to it, so I must have pre-ordered some sort of limited edition thing. Which you can tell because it's as shiny as some of those Magic the Gathering cards I got. So, ordering. I guess we'll begin with Blu-ray version. You can see here, region A only. Includes all 12 episodes plus OVA on 2 discs. English dub. Pretty straightforward stuff. That's what we would expect from something that says it has an English dub, and it's not English dub only. So you've got people and simple magic things. Well, one magic thing, and then I guess another different kind of magic. Which I think is notable because, if I remember correctly, didn't this anime have a production issue where they used a magic circle from the internet? And then the creator contacted them about that and stuff. So, same stuff here. There's nothing too surprising about that. This is the DVD version, and also not surprising is it's 3 discs. Let's see. Chunibyo demo. Oh well. But now the next stuff is what's really curious. Oh no, that's definitely something that added a lot of weight to it. If I remember the context of the anime, I kind of remember why this was here. Episode 4, so that's talking about episodes and showing imagery, and I saw some character design stuff and information. First year, class 4. And that feels thicker than it should, like, I don't know, maybe those are end cards. And then this, yeah, this has some weight to it, so there's definitely something in here as well. This is the nice part about pre-ordering something and then just forgetting what you pre-ordered and not really paying attention to the details. But for most of y'all, I'm sure y'all want to pay attention to the details, just because if you don't, then you probably don't have as much money dedicated to the task, which is a very reasonable position to have, simply because I don't know, there's so many nice things in the world. This is kind of neat. Chain's very cold from probably having traveled around during all this winter weather. Still there's plastic on here, but since this is not something I think I'll wear, there's a part of me that thinks that I will keep it in the box set. I'll have to decide. I think, what's it called, Kami-sama Keats, I think it was. I think I took most of that stuff out. I'll decide that later. For now, we'll just Take a look at stuff. That's a keychain. Okay. This is a bookmark or something. Might be or something because it's a little thick there and I can't tell if it's paper. It's covered in plastic, so I would have to take it out of some permanent plastic in order to look at it, and if I don't know what it is, maybe I don't want to do that. These feel like stickers, maybe. This is a shiny foil card of characters. This is lenticular. It almost feels like it's thick enough that there could be more than one there. But I think it's just the one. This appears to be a bunch of... I think those kind of look like thicker cardboard things. So this is definitely something else, but again, it's in that same plastic that I'm not sure I want to open. My collector sense is tingling. So I guess this is supposed to be an eye patch. Ah, I see, and on the reverse side it has the special eye. Not a medical device for novelty purposes only. So then I guess I don't need to take it out, because I'm not going to try and wear it just yet. This seems like too special enough. Oh my gosh, and here we have another one, and it's plastic. Either these are multiple papers of characters, or... yeah, I just don't remember what in the world I ordered here, but this comes with a lot of nice art extras. And of course, I don't know. It's just nice. So, there we go. This is this week's anime DVD collection update, which certainly seems big with this added on, but what can you do? So, like I mentioned last week, I was intent on finishing writing, and I had already watched the first episode of the second half of it, so obviously the first thing I did was I finished the second half of it, and it was okay. I think there's something about it that doesn't quite grab throughout the entirety of the series, but nothing that's just so bad that it's just bad. I think it's just mostly got a problem of sometimes you're just not interested. Well, I mean, I guess it has a few cheese elements to it. I mean, like, there's a psychic person in there, and it kind of doesn't feel like it needs to have something like that, I guess. It's nothing bad, it's nothing strong. I think most people just probably found it underwhelming, especially since, you know, it's one of those things where it doesn't make sense for there to be an escalation in terms of the complexity of combat simply because we haven't been given the impression that the bad guys have been learning anything new per se, but rather that, I don't know, they're just releasing different things. You know, they could have just began with some of their later machines, I think. It gives us the impression that they made them, but at the same time, that first one, it's a nice slow battle that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to being the first you send out, I guess. I mean, maybe you could send out a scouting party but then hit your hardest and... I don't know. It's not bad anime, again. It's just maybe a little campy and a little underwhelming, maybe. So, the timing I finished that was intended to match up with the fact that the next day Kill Volume 4 and Koimonogatari would arrive. And I watched this one first just because it's dubbed, and that was a good way to start my evening, basically. Where I had some other things I wanted to do, I think. I don't remember if I actually did them, but I wanted to either, you know, maybe it was just cooking dinner, something simple like that. And I have to say that this definitely reached a breakout moment where, like, I think if you watch something such as Gurren Lagann, you'll probably... it's a certain point when you kind of realize you're so invested that there's absolutely no way you're going to stop. Now, that means it's pretty far in the series for Kill la Kill, since, like I said, I think there's going to be 5 total releases, and this is the 4th of 5. But a lot of that has to do with it being entertaining, but missing a little something. And I guess I don't really want to hint at to what that is, assuming I can even identify it in the first place. But I definitely know that at this point, it doesn't really matter. I definitely am going to completely focus on finish this series. Now, I already would, given that I've already invested so far in it this far, etc., etc. And it's hard to say what I can talk about exactly. I've talked before about how there seems to be a disconnect between the kind of action some people talk about that are cool and the kind of action I prefer, where I thought Fate Zero had a lot of things along the lines of the kind of action I don't like, but a lot of people like it and the action that goes on in it. And for me, I guess it's sort of like the old Dead Fantasy animation, which I mentioned as just kind of the example. People talked about how cool it was, and I thought, it's kind of neat, but I didn't find it particularly spectacular, just kind of, they're kind of doing cool things, I guess. And the missing element that I've always talked about there has always been kind of an investment in the action. And I'm mentioning this because with Kill la Kill, we're given a pretty straightforward reason, but I can kind of feel like that the anime is keeping most of the battles actually separated from that concept. But the reason it works in Kill la Kill is because it kind of... It's not necessarily just action for the sake of action. It's also action for the sake of comedy in certain ways. Like, it knows it's being absurd, so it just fully embraces it. And that kind of makes it fun, even if it didn't really grab me until it was this late into the series. At least, I think that's how I would analyze it. So I guess I'm trying not to spend too much time talking about things like that. So, going on to Koimonogatari, like I said, it's the last story arc in the second season of Monogatari. And, well, as usual, I thought it was really good. I mean, I don't know if it's spoiler to talk about that or not, so I'm not going to talk about that. But it's just fun, and it resolved an idea that was kind of lingering throughout the season, I guess. I mean, yeah, you can't really talk too much about it, but it kind of flows very similar to most other Monogatari stories, I guess, because you can kind of tell. I don't want to talk too much about that because I kind of feel like I'd spoil it. So overall, I really enjoyed the second season. I don't know if I've heard people complain, because I think I heard people mention potential points of complaint, but them also thinking that some aspects of those were actually rather brilliant. And I don't know. If you're not the kind of person that knows if they'll like the Bakemonogatari stuff, maybe you could try checking out Katanagatari, because I think it's made by the same person, and it is definitely very dialogually thought-provoking. You can kind of tell that they play with words and concepts, and if you think you actually kind of like how they play with that stuff and their ability to, you think they have a good ability to throw you in the loop, Monogatari has just been real great. Now, of course, buying it on Blu-ray here in the States is going to be pretty expensive. Maybe not as expensive as in Japan, but still going to be up there. So, I don't know what to suggest to you, because maybe you can watch it some other way. But it's been fun. Now, there's still more content to come out. I do believe 2 things which have been released, and of course 1 thing which hasn't been released but has been promised to be released for a long time, or at least hinted at so many times in the series and by people or something, but it's not out yet, and I can't really blame anybody for that. And the other thing I did was I started Genshiken 2nd Generation. Now, I didn't pay too much attention when I fired it up, but For the most part, I think we noted that this was actually dubbed audio. Yeah, it says it has both English and Japanese dub. It defaults to Japanese with English subtitles, and once I realized about halfway into the first episode that it automatically started with Japanese with English subtitles, I just kept doing that. It's not a problem. I think I'm 4 episodes in. It's actually been neat. Maybe fun. It's hard to tell. It's been a very confusing week, I guess. But definitely going to be watching more of it as soon as I'm done recording these videos. And because I don't think I have any other priorities in this list of, or piles of stuff I have over here. Maybe Chunibyo would be worth a rewatch with the dub, but maybe not. I have too much new stuff. I really shouldn't. So, and besides, it's not like I'm going to finish this tonight anyways, and if I don't finish it tonight, then tomorrow I'm going to have somebody over, and then Friday I'm going to have somebody over, so we're still talking about it until the weekend anyways, so I'll have much bigger options after that. Oh well, but the reason I'm reluctant to talk more about it is because I'm not sure how much I remember of the first Genshin. I talked about the possibility of rewatching the first 2 seasons. And speaking of first 2 seasons, it's called Second Generation, even though it's the 3rd season, so it has a 2 in the name even though it's a 3. But it's amusing because the anime is self-aware of that, because in the preview for the first episode they mention as much. Sorry, the preview for the second episode that aired at the end of the first episode, they said as much. But so it's hard to remember thematically what I should be remembering exactly. I have vague ideas, and I'm like, yeah, I remember that character, that character, that character. Do I remember the relationship between a lot of these characters or not? Because it's a very slice of life anime, so that sort of thing's important. And I think this anime is giving enough of a reminder boost here and there, if it's not setting up new stuff outright. But so I'm not having trouble following what I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to be following, and it'll be interesting to see how the rest of this is, assuming this is all of it. 13 episodes. So don't know. But yeah. So what else did I watch? Well, I watched Lady and the Tramp, 101 Dalmatians, and Fantasia. They're all really good. Although Lady and the Tramp, I'm getting that song about the tramp stuck in my head. That's annoying. They were all fun, good, nice to revisit. Kind of looking at them and thinking, where exactly are these set? Nothing terribly spectacular, just kind of thoughts. So, let's see, I do believe I watched another episode of Better Call Saul. I'm trying to remember exactly what happened. It was okay, I think. I'm still curious where it's going to be going from where it is. And it's definitely done some interesting things, and I referenced the episode at work earlier this week, although I'm not sure if people got the reference or just thought what I said was funny. It can be hard to say sometimes. Video game wise, I've continued playing Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, kind of going slow. I think I'm still at 4-star Caravan and 2-star Guild Hall. Maybe I wasn't at 2-star Guild Hall last time, but I can say the Khezu is kind of stupid. It's an older creature. It comes from, I think, the 2nd generation of Monster Hunter games, maybe from something other than the base Monster Hunter 2, like Freedom's something. I'm not entirely sure. All I know is if you sit down and you talk about this monster's characteristics, you pretty much come down to, okay, it's not a particularly exciting looking monster, although a lot of people like the armor sets and the weapons, as I understand it. And It sponges up damage, it spends a lot of time on the ceiling, it has an area of effect around it that keeps you wet. You know, it's kind of a time-wasting piece of shit. And that's what makes it really dumb. I saw a comparison thread that was like 5 or 6 days old on Reddit about which do you prefer, the Giganox or the Kezu. You know, they're kind of similar, the Giganox being based on the Kezu. And the truth of the matter is, I really do like Giganox better. I feel like there's more accomplishment going on when that happens. Some people talk about some of the interesting things about the Kezu, and for those, I'd pretty much say that the atmosphere isn't quite right for something like that, in my opinion. This could be a difference between the different kinds of games it's showed up in before. In this sort of game, even though a lot of the look and feel is very different, it still feels very much like Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. Which basically means that what you want to do is you want to grab a big-ass sword, and you want to fight that big-ass monster, and you want to come out looking like a fucking champion. Woohoo. And Kezu's kind of the opposite of that, as far as I can tell. And the unfortunate thing is that it's weak to fire, and I've got a little circular dependency. Now, this just means that I need to go after the Rathian and Rathalos, which are fire, which would give me my fire-based swords, but they are weak to electricity, and I can't get my electric weapon without him, unless, of course, I fight the Zenogre before then, but I need to get that far. And the Guild Hall is just kind of... It's even more designed to funnel you into doing multiplayer stuff. Which basically means that I can't... Even though I got a little ahead of myself by fighting the Kezu before doing the Frozen Sea stuff in the single-player village quests, it means that I'm just not going to bother going forward in there because I have to... Well, I don't have to fight two Kezus. Well, I guess I can just do the one where I capture it over and over again. I don't know. I'm not liking my options because that one is still also long, slow, and tedious, and I think maybe my chances are better than that one than with this one, so I need to do it. Ugh. And I'm guessing that some of these problems would actually not be problems if I wasn't limiting myself to one weapon, but I think that's kind of fun to do sometimes. And maybe I can't blame them for it being hard for me because I stubbornly stick to only one weapon. But at the same time, even if you take that into account, the way the creature's designed is not one that leaves you saying, yeah, I beat the blank. Instead, you beat it and you say, ugh, I finally beat the blank. Oh well, more exciting news is I did finally pre-order all of next month's anime. I think I mentioned last week I kept putting it off, and now everything was lined up such that I had to do it. I had to, of course, shop more carefully, and there were weird things to figure out. Like, there's a Pokemon DVD release next month, and the previous one was back in September, I think, based on my having pre-ordered the last one I got back in August, which meant it would be a September release. And part of the confusion is that release back then was called Pokemon BW Adventures in Unova. And the one coming out next month is Adventures in Unova and Beyond Set 2. And there was a part of me that was concerned that you had a set 1, you had a set 2, but the names were different enough that they could have been completely different seasons, and had I missed 2 releases. Now, as far as I can tell, I hadn't. And in fact, the end of the last episode on the previous DVD release suggests that the next DVD release is definitely going to be the right thing, essentially. But, you know, I think there was a lot of researching I had to do along those lines, because I had to make sure there was a limited edition version of something. Oh my gosh, there was also a lot of... I finally decided... Usually I've been pre-ordering Aniplex releases for the next month, and the same with NIS and stuff. I decided to just go ahead and pre-order out. I guess maybe I was holding back because I knew that I would eventually have to transition credit card information. I didn't want to pre-order a ton of stuff from Right Stuff and then call them up and have the poor service rep go through all dozen or so pre-orders and update credit card information for all of them. Oh god, that would be kind of a nightmare. But it meant that now I could pre-order because it's not like I'm going to change credit cards anytime soon unless something happens, in which case I'd have to do it all eventually anyways. I know it's a bit rambly, but the Aniplex stuff is kind of notable because there's a ton of stuff coming out next month. Or at least it seems like a ton of stuff. There's at least the Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works Part 1. So, as expected, Aniplex is doing the same thing with the Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works TV series that they did with Fate Zero, and that's they're releasing the Japanese release here in the States officially. I pre-ordered my copy. I guess maybe the reason why I pre-ordered all the Aniplex stuff was because I really wanted to pre-order the Poile Magica Movie 3 US release. The one with the dub included. Because I wanted to make sure I was going to get that, and then it's like, well, why should I stop? I should pre-order everything, including the second Persona 3 movie, which maybe is coming out this month or next month. I don't know. It's all a jumble because there was just, I think there were 18 items I got from Right Stuff, and with Right Stuff, I'm filling in blanks that I know Amazon isn't going to fulfill. Or at least, it didn't look like Amazon. So, for example, I pre-ordered that Mobile Suit Gundam The Origin, I think it was called, Blu-ray. And I pre-ordered the NIS release that comes out next week. Who knows if it'll actually ship and arrive in time by next week, because I was a bit late ordering it. I remember there was a lot of good things coming out next month. Yakitate Japan is next week, and hopefully that arrives in time for the update. Maybe I can take a quick peek and see if there was what other neat things, because there's no ifs, ands, or buts. There was definitely lots of neat things. Obviously, I guess I can't look at all of it. I know, I can see from here some of the stuff listed, that there's World God Only Knows Season 3, that's awesome. There's the uncut version of Sankareya, which is good because you remember the old release was the edited for TV version, and then that kind of disappeared because Funimation's like, oh, people aren't liking the fact that we did this. Unless it was completely accidental, which is what I think some people have said, but I don't remember if there's been any confirmation. All I know is there's a Blu-ray DVD release coming out. I already have it on Blu-ray and DVD, but I'm going to get this Blu-ray DVD release. And I can't help but think that there were lots of really awesome things just coming out next month. And I know looking beyond that, there's lots of neat things. So there's some good anime coming out. That said, I think, since I'm not going to take a look at them, I should probably just end the update here, especially since now I get to go grab dinner. So y'all have a nice week.